Hello, welcome to the Comic Book Club. I'm your host, Jamil Payne, and with me, as always, is my host, Amanda Comey.
Woo! Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is. I don't remember.
Yeah. It's one of those.
It's comic book time.
It is comic book time. I have a kitten, and she enjoys waking me up in the middle of the night. So I'm a little. But between like having a new cat and Red Dead Redemption, I'm not getting a whole lot of sleep.
When you read comic books, like if you have a physical copy, like does she try to jump on the book or anything really cute?
She jumps on the keyboard constantly. That's why she's not in the room right now.
Okay.
She'll climb up on my legs with her claws, then jump on the desk and just walk across the keyboard.
Typical cat.
Yep. And look at me like, what you gonna do, motherfucker? What you gonna do? You ain't gonna do nothing. No. So, listeners, I guess we have to talk about this, right?
Yeah, it's not all kittens and comic books.
It's not all kittens and comic books. Comic books died a few days ago, as in Stan Lee, the man probably most responsible for modern day comic book culture. The good side of it, anyway, has died. He's dead. He's passed away at the age of 95. I don't know about you, Amanda, but I thought Stan Lee was never going to die, despite how older he was getting. Because in my eyes, Stan Lee was always old, so him getting a little bit older never really bothered me. Like, he's 90, yeah, so he's 93, And now that he's gone, I don't know. Look, when celebrities die, right? I get sad, but I don't tear up usually. Like, that's just something I don't do.
Right.
With him, like watching like tributes and videos of him, I legitimately teared up a bit.
I believe. I'm like, I believe you. Yeah, I felt this a little bit too. I intellectually know that literally everyone will die someday, knowing that literally my form of escapism from that day-to-day drudgery, it's sort of, Stanley wasn't really like a person. He really did embody a lot of bringing comic books into the cultural mainstream. He didn't really seem like the sort of person who was eligible for dying. So that was kind of surprising to realize that I felt that a lot.
Look, we're not going to go too much into it because we're actually planning on recording a special for it.
Yeah.
But, well, I know you know that, Amanda. I'm telling the listeners. But, like, I just, Stan Lee was comic books. No offense to anybody else that's ever written a comic book. Some of the greatest writers ever, Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore, so on and so on. Nobody embodies comic books like Stan Lee. And I don't know what the hell we're going to do without him. I'm sure it's fine. Like, hey, he was 95. He lived a good life, mostly with his wife. And he's seen his dream come to full fruition, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, comic book movies, and especially the characters he created, are the biggest thing in the fucking world. So, he succeeded in his life purpose. And I think we should be happy for that and not feel as sad. He was 95. He gave all the world he could. He literally gave himself to the world for the last 50 years. So we shouldn't be sad. We should celebrate the life and what he brought to ours.
So we're going to celebrate his life by reading a DC comic?
That's right. DC Comics White Knight.
Well, you could argue that DC Comics wouldn't have been able to rise to the quality they have if not
definitely
for Stan Lee at Marvel creating a benchmark,
Oh, look. When we do the special, I was going to go into all of that. Look, I was going to go into, like, basically, Stan Lee saved comic books. Make no mistake about this. If Stan Lee and Jack Kirby didn't come up with the Fantastic Four, comic books would have died like in 1970, and they never became as big as they are. So make no mistake about it. Stan Lee saved comic books for both companies. Period. Point blank. But again, we're not gonna go into that. We're gonna have a whole special about Stan Lee in a few weeks. With that being said, let's roll into our review. Today we are talking about Batman White Knight. It's a limited series published by DC Comics. It's written and drawn by Sean Murphy with lettering by Todd Klein. You see, I remember to do it this time. You always do it for me, but I've taken your advice. I remembered.
Well, it's also, he's the guy who lettered the last book that we just read.
He is?
Yeah.
See, Amanda, that's why. Look, like Stan.
I'm not like super into knowing like all of the creators' names, but there's like a few like really, really prolific letterers, and Todd Klein is one of them.
So Batman White Knight is a story about if the Joker goes sane and how he basically turns the city against Batman. He turns the tables because sane Joker is apparently even more dangerous than like crazy Joker.
That's a great place to start. So, no, I mean, first of all, this is a really interesting premise. But I'm wondering, like, has this not been done before?
Not that
okay.
I can think of.
I just feel like having the good guy and the bad guy switch places story is a permutation that would have had to come up in like the last 80 years.
You would think, but I don't think so. If it has, I can't think of any.
Well, and I think that's part of, like, that might be related to what the story was really about, which was a lot of Batman Joker stories seem to have this sort of take that, like, Batman's identity exists entirely, like, in opposition to the Joker. Like, if there isn't a Joker, there isn't a Batman, and vice versa.
Yep.
So it's sort of like, okay, well, if the Joker is suddenly the good guy, does Batman have to be the bad guy? Like, that's kind of like the real question that's going on. So it's not just like, what if the Joker was a good guy? Because it's like, oh, great. Story over. Gotham's saved. It's more like, oh, actually, this throws Batman into personal crisis.
Yep.
In addition to, there's some other stuff going on for Batman in this book that's super heavy. Well, but like Alfred was sick.
Alfred was sick. He was working with Mr. Freeze. Batman,
Batgirl, and Nightwing are sitting there like, you want to just run off together. Like they're both talking about like, why don't you leave? Why don't you stay? It also comes out that like Batman realizes that people are concerned about like where the money for the redevelopment goes. So like after Batman trashes a neighborhood, he's finding out that like rich people go in and gentrify. And that it's not really being used to rebuild communities the way that he intended. Because ultimately Bruce Wayne is footing the bill for all of the repairs. So there's just like, there's like a lot of like personal stuff going on that he could be having a bad day about.
Personal
and then
and like real world, like this book is,
it's a lot like the Daredevil book.
Yeah, okay. So okay, I'm about to go on this long
do it
tangent. Okay. Now, I've never considered myself a hardcore comic book fan, which is weird because I do a comic book podcast, right? But you're like normal about it. Yeah, but like, so I've never seen myself as a fanatic. You know, I know those people. You know what I'm saying? I'm in comic book groups with those people. You know what I'm saying? Well, like, you know, the movies will never be good enough. You know, they change this, they change that. And I've always been the one where, you know, as a movie, they can change whatever they want to. Like, so I've always been one of those people that's like, you know what I'm saying, that never been too tough on canon, on what's canon and what's not. And even though this book is not canon,
Mm-hmm.
you can clearly tell this man has never read a Batman comic book a day in his life. And like, and like, as I was reading it, I felt that. Then like when I looked it up, well, yeah, he's never read a Batman comic, and you could tell his only exposure to Batman are the movies and cartoon, because everything in this book are either from the movies or the cartoons. Everything. The name.
Oh, I definitely was gonna say that this felt a lot like an episode of the animated series, which was kind of what I was getting at. Was I was like, did I just miss the episode of the '90s Batman animated series where this happened?
Really, because I had more the feeling of the movie. Because there's a lot of stuff from the movies in here too. You know what I'm saying? Like Jack Napier, that's the name the Joker had in the first Batman movie. Mr. Freeze and the Giant Freeze Gun. Hell, the Batmobile that they use. Like a lot of the stuff in here is from the movie and the animated series, which is like, the animated series, lest we forget, is just an offshoot of the movies. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like a lot of that is in here, and you could tell. And the moment I knew, and like again, I read this later, but I knew because he made Jason Todd the first Robin.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
And it's supposed to be Dick Grayson. And apparently, I read an interview later where he was just like, I didn't think about that. And that's
I was also like, okay, so we're going to throw in Jason Todd, but then we're not going to have like the Killing Joke.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I was like, Barbara should not be okay with the Joker in literally any form.
Exactly, right. That's we don't get the Killing Joke. We don't get Batman Death in the Family. Like those things haven't existed in this world, But like, and I was reading it and I was liking it, but like, I didn't know how to feel about this real world take on Batman a little bit. And like again, what has happened over the years of reading so many comic books, like a lot, in the last few years, is I have become sort of not one of those people, but it was a few things that was nagging at my craw a little bit. But by the end, I was completely like, I completely forgave the story for anything that was wrong, because again, it's an Elseworld tale, right? It doesn't have to fit the continuity. But like the real world stuff, it was good, but I also felt kind of uncomfortable with it just a bit. Mm-hmm. Just for the simple fact, it skews a little bit too close to what the fuck is going on right now. Like
I was gonna say, it was was there like one panel where he actually just like drew the girl from the protests?
Yes, it
and
was.
I was like, why? Why
that
are you
was
doing
kind of tasteless. That was.
Yeah, I was like, you could just draw like you don't have to remind me of like a specific. Were those the protests in New Orleans?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I'm like, yeah, like you don't have to remind me of like a specific real world thing. You could have drawn like literally anything right there.
Right down to like the two reporters. One is like super conservative, and the other one is super liberal, and they yelling at each other about what is right and what is wrong. And it's just like
it was a little like it was a little like too close to reality.
Yeah,
you're right.
For my Batman comic, and it just like it felt like the books. At first, it felt like the book might have had an agenda, which I don't like. You know what I'm saying? When they're trying to say something. Now, I know I like the Alan Moore book, but he's talking about magic. That's not a real agenda.
Right.
But like, he's just talking about his love for magic. But this, right, it felt like it was gonna like swing into the way of like, I don't know, either ultra conservative or ultra liberal like agenda, but it skates those lines and it doesn't. But I was really worried for a minute, like reading this book. But like all the real world elements they use to like the best of the story, right? Almost to the point where like I almost believe Batman wouldn't exist in this world. But there's.
I wanted to bring up something else in this that really surprised me.
Okay.
That there were 2 Harley Quinns. Spoilers.
That you see, I'm gonna tell you, that's the thing that almost made me like throw the book. Well, throw my phone across the room.
Okay.
But no, go ahead. No. I like to hear
Well,
I like to hear your thoughts first.
so first, I thought this was an indication that the Joker's insanity had just shifted. And I was like, are we going to get like the Joker haunted by like multiple incarnations of Harleys like yelling at him and fighting over him? Like, so instead of him being like Joker insane, he's like a normal guy with just like a different kind of insanity.
Psychoses.
Yeah, so like I was like, this might be really interested, especially given like the type of relationship they had, that like as soon as he starts getting better, his like guilt over how he's treated her manifests as like him being haunted by all of this stuff. But then there are actually two real live women who both are inexplicably infatuated with this man. And I did kind of like the insinuation that the real Harley left him and he didn't even notice. And that
that's such a Joker thing.
Some other blonde bimbo showed up and she was like, I got nothing better to do than pretend to be Harley Quinn. And like that explains why like she's a sexier, sluttier version.
But see, that's my issue. Like that's my problem.
Yeah.
Is like, okay, so let's get into
it's a little like, I bet I can guess what your problem is, which is that it's kind of like what a casual fan would comment on if they hadn't been like following any of the series closely. Like they'd be like, oh man, like they just keep making Harley Quinn wear less and like her character's so stupid now. Right?
Yeah, actually, she's probably a better character than that as far as being an independent character. See, this is the thing. This is the ugly truth about Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
And you know this. Harley Quinn was really popular in the 90s with males and females. And she struck a chord with girls. Am I wrong? Like back in the 90s?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Harley Quinn's the best. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy.
Well, look, but the ugly truth is the reason a lot of girls fell in love with Harley Quinn is her fucked up ass relationship with the Joker. But now that she's so popular within the comics, right, they kind of try to sweep that.
I would actually kind of argue that the reason girls loved Harley Quinn is because most of the time she was the only fucking girl around.
Oh,
like,
no.
Who else was I gonna pretend to be, right?
Oh, no, straight up. But like I've heard this from girls though. Like no, that's part of it too. All that's part of it. But
yeah.
But also another big part of that was they kind of, I've heard girls
they did romanticize the codependency a bit.
A bit?
It's okay. It's almost as bad as Cloak and Dagger, but not quite.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard, like, recently, heard, like, a writer, like a rebel writer called Harley Quinn a feminist icon. I'm like, no, like, Harley Quinn is a piece of shit. And I mean that, and I know that sounds terrible, but I mean that in the best way possible. Like, you know, she gave up her life for this man. You know what I'm saying? She is a terrible person. She gave up her life, her career, and everything for this man. And it feels like this book was going to retcon that. But then, at the end, they don't. And the second Harley just goes out and says, like, the reason you don't like me is because you used to be like me. You liked him because he was fucked up. Like, that may not be the case now, but let's not pretend like, like at some point, what attracted you to him was the fact that he was some crazy homicidal maniac. But yes, at first it does seem like it was going to be like this casual fan thing of like, oh, she's sluttier now and this and that. But no, they don't do that. They actually don't do that. It just seemed like they was going to do that. And I actually do appreciate that he doesn't do it, but teases like he is, because that was going to make me roll my eyes that all of a sudden, like, you know, they was going to, like, romanticize the real Harley, quote unquote, and Joker's relationship. Like, nah, he was really fucked up to her too.
Yeah.
And she took it. It's just after a while she couldn't.
Yeah.
So it shows the growth of that character where, like, yes, like she started off as this, but ended up as this, instead of them trying to, like, again, what they do now in regular continuity is kind of like sweep it under the rug.
Right. They actually addressed their relationship and did it with some nuance.
Exactly. And you know what? I totally buy, like, cause I've known girls that used to date drug dealers and gangbangers all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And them girls started off liking them dudes because of that, because they're younger, right? But as you stay with this guy and as they get older, you love them for another reason and you want them to change. And that's what it seemed like happened with the original Harley, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like she kind of grew out of it.
Yeah, she grew out of it and she still loved him and wanted him to grow too.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got this you got this new hot young piece of ass that makes him feel young again. And she has to fight with that. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's the best way I can put it, because that's kind of how they set it up. But yes, there's two Harleys, and they're both great, by the way. Like, Neo Joker is fucking awesome. They need to put Neo Joker in regular comic books. I like Neo Joker.
Yeah, I also really liked that this sort of idea Neo Joker put out that like the Joker could have won whenever he wanted, but like it wasn't about winning, it wasn't about controlling Gotham really. It was about like this weird thing with Batman. And she was like, "Look, like I can just literally, second time out of the gate come up with a plot that will work to take over the whole city pretty much."
And she does. Apparently, she's way better without the Joker than she is with him.
So she's also like, hey, like there are kind of like rules for how this supervillainy thing works, and like, if you're not going to follow them, Joker, then like I'm going to show you what happens when we don't follow them.
I do like that with the original Harley. The only time we see flashes of her and like her old self is when Neo Joker shows up, and she was like, "Oh shit, she here!" And she quickly throws on her costume and grab her big mallet. Like, "You not taking my man?" I love that shit. Like, there she goes. That's the Harley. I guess we should talk about the Joker himself. We've talked around the Joker in Batman.
Yeah, we talked about Batman because I mean, like the book's named after him, and then we talked about Harley because that was surprising, but like clearly there's the whole other element of the Joker.
I mean, it goes to show you that the Joker is smarter than Batman. If the Joker really wanted to, he could have been beat Batman, because without the psychoses, he cut off all his support, right?
Mm-hmm.
He used everything against him. I also like the fact that he was a good guy, but he wasn't like a actual like straight good guy. Like, he was still using illegal means to gain the city's trust.
Yeah. He was, gosh, it reminds me of like all of the movies where the mob boss is like, I'm gonna go straight. I just got this like one last thing I gotta do, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, it definitely, but like it was like legal tricks and like misdirection and like plausible deniability, and it was very, just like a different way of being evil, I guess.
Yeah, he just outsmarted.
The kind that we tolerate and vote for, I guess, is the message, right?
Exactly.
Well, so I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Did you think that the Joker was pretending, like for the first part of the book?
What do you mean?
Well, because Batman's first response was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys are not going to fall for this. Clearly, the Joker is just pretending to be sane. This is a long con."
Oh no! I think it was genuine. I think
you always thought it was genuine, like you didn't have any doubt.
No.
Okay.
I thought like Jack Napier would clearly knew Batman. Put it this way, they was right about each other, right? Like, Batman ultimately was right about the Joker, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But also Jack Napier was ultimately right about Batman also, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, I'm sane, but I know Batman is never going to stop. So I'm going to use that against him because I know him. I know his drive. I know how he thinks and how he operates. He's never
Mhm.
going to trust me. And I'm going to use that to turn the city against him.
Yeah.
Also, in this world, they don't call them supervillains, what they call them, super criminals. So I'm wondering, in this world, do like Superman and Batman, do Superman and Wonder Woman, do any of them even exist?
Oh, that is interesting because like this is the question that always comes up in like all of the Marvel movies, which is like, yeah, if Batman was really unhinged, like there's a guy in the Justice League who would come get him.
I don't know. Again, maybe those questions are not important to this story and we shouldn't be answering them. But it seems like villains only live in Gotham within this world.
Right. Well, I think it is important because so much of people having a shit time in life is not having a support network. And this is a version of Batman who is like very clearly like, more isolated than the Justice League version. Like he doesn't seem to have any peers. He doesn't trust Barbara and Dick. He's absolutely torn up over losing Alfred to the point where he's going to work with Mr. Freeze. Like, I think it does make a slight difference if this is only a Gotham thing or if it's happening everywhere in the world,
But I think this goes back to the point that this dude never read like a comic book.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck it. In his version, all this shit is insular. But that they are making a sequel, so there's a good chance we'll get those answers going forward.
Okay.
So yeah, but for right now, it seems like he's the only superhero in the city. But yeah, just the way just the way Jack Napier uses bureaucracy to like kill Batman, and like he brings up some really salient points, right? He's like, it's been 10 years. Why hasn't he shared any of his technology with you? If he really wanted to help, look, it asks all those uncomfortable questions about Batman. I don't like people asking.
Right, like if Bruce Wayne has so much money, why doesn't he just like donate it to everything, right?
Yeah, and like that's what I was worried about. Is like, is this gonna be like somebody's take on Batman who doesn't like Batman? Is he gonna be like one of those assholes that I see on Twitter talking about Batman, biggest superpower is white privilege and he beats up the mentally handicapped? I hate those fucking people who say that. But like, I really thought he was gonna go in that direction with it, but he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, it clearly shows why. By the end, you clearly see why this world needs a Batman. And Batman, finally understands why, he needs the police help. So he shares his technology and shit.
I feel like that says so much about like us spending too much time on Twitter that like we see somebody suggest an idea and like we just start already like coiling up like, oh my gosh, please like don't take this to that other place. Like, please don't make this a social justice thing. And then, or please don't make this a racist thing. Or please don't. And then, like, we're so relieved when it's actually just like a somewhat nuanced, normal idea.
Batman story. Like, oh god, because like really, man, like I've seen that a lot. About like Batman, he just beating up the mentally ill. No, he's not. He's beating up a giant crocodile, man. He's not mentally ill. Like, yes, the Joker is crazy, but he also killed like 1,000 people a year. You beat that person in the face.
Yeah.
You don't get them help. And I was really worried that they was going to go in that direction because they was teasing it, and they don't. Especially with the newscasters, it was really teetering on that. What this reminds me of, believe it or not, it reminds me of the Dark Knight Returns in a lot of ways. Like, this Batman skews very close to the Dark Knight Returns Batman. And this world skews very close to that world in a lot of ways. With like the talking heads, with the news stuff, the ultra violent Batman, like there's like a lot of hints. And I don't know if that's on purpose or it was just like, a byproduct of the story he was telling. But I do
Or
get,
maybe just a cultural osmosis thing. Like if you haven't really read any Batman comics, you still have like that idea
yes,
floating around.
exactly. So that's what I took away from it. And I do like, as realistic as this story tried to make everything, I love the fact that it ends in a giant ice gun battle that freezes the city.
I also really love that Mr. Freeze is like, I don't have any more puns. Like he's like, all right, I'm here to save the undo the ice ray thing, and I don't have any chill out puns or whatever.
I'm old now. I'm tired. I'm just.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of bad. I'm just trying to do some good. Let me just do this.
Yeah.
Another thing from the movie. Another thing from the movie that like cracked me up was when they said Alfred was sick. I was like, I swear to God, if it's McGregor's syndrome, I'm gonna fucking crash this. I'm gonna fucking drive off a cliff, and I'd be damned if it wasn't fucking McGregor's syndrome, which is straight from Batman and Robin. They gave him McGregor's syndrome. This actually, now that
do you feel like maybe this book just needed a slightly different editor to help with some of those details?
I mean, that's the thing. I don't know if it's bad or not. Like I don't know.
Well, it's not bad, but not a good, but there maybe an editor could have read it and seen like what you're seeing, which is, oh, like that was just like, this will throw some readers out of the story. And like they could have just changed like a few of those details that don't really change the meaning of the story to help make it like, you know, less awkward for people who've been reading the comics the whole way through.
But that's the thing though. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. Like again, maybe because I'm in too deep now. You know what I'm saying? With comic books and continuity, especially when it comes to like Batman and like Spider-Man, like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe, like, cause like I don't want to be that guy to complain about dumb shit. So I don't know if it's a bad thing. I just know for me, it was like, really? Like again, I don't know if I thought it was bad, but I thought it was fucking hilarious. Just how much stuff he took from the movies. Just. Mm-hmm. Cause at that point, when it said McGregor syndrome, the dude's name was like Joker's name was already Jack Napier.
Yeah.
And it was already a couple of more things from the movies and TV show, that the fact that it was McGregor syndrome, it was just hilarious to me. And I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's good or not, but it's there. Like, cause again, I don't want to be that guy. I never want to be that guy, but maybe you're right.
Well,
maybe.
I mean, okay, it's one thing to make something like really accessible. I was, when I was out with my friend earlier today, her background is in psychology and like clinical social work. And I actually told her about this story. And she was like, holy shit, that sounds like a comic book I would actually read. And I know that I could give this to her because she definitely saw like 5 Batman cartoons in the 90s. And I wouldn't have to worry about her being like, you know, who's Poison Ivy? Who's Harley Quinn? Who's Clayface? Like, those are all like standard cartoon villains that look exactly the way Bruce Timm drew them.
Yes, they do. That's another thing.
So, you know, in terms of it being like an accessible, standalone, limited run, it borrowing those details definitely helps. But also things like, you know, like she's not going to know that it was McGregor syndrome. Like she's not going to know like any of those details. There's a lot of stuff that I think an editor could have fixed for you without ruining it for her.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it's bad. Like, I don't want to sound, cause like I seen.
You're not ungrateful. You don't sound ungrateful.
Cause look, cause of Twitter, right? I'm always scared that I seen these people take this dude to task, cause he said. This is a bit of a tangent, but I seen people take this dude to task because he said Ryan Reynolds and cool and all, but I will like for them for the first Pokemon movie to actually be about training and fighting monsters instead of Detective Pikachu. He didn't say it in a mean way. He didn't say it in a bad way. He was actually very reasonable about it. You know what I'm saying? And they jumped on him like he was some nerd that never had sex. Like, oh, you just taking ownership. And I never want to be misconstrued like that guy was.
I feel like there's one more element of this I really want to get your opinion on.
Okay.
Which is the art. Because I think this might be the first book we've read together where the writer also did the art.
I think so, yes.
And I was just thinking about how, like, I don't know, I thought the art was really, really nice. I liked the level of detail on some of, like, the bigger splashes compared to, like, the smaller panels. There was some really, like, cool shadow stuff.
Especially on Batman, like Batman is never fully in the light usually.
And then I really loved
he almost underdraws Batman a little bit.
Yeah, and then most of the pages each have kind of like an overall like similar color palette.
Yep.
So there'll be like a blue page and then like a yellow page and then like a white page and then a purple page. Which, I mean, obviously, like, that's mostly the colorist. But, I don't know. I just thought that the art really matched the tone of the story really well. I'm like, so, like, happy for him that he got to do this. I don't really have much else to say besides I think it worked so well.
Do you know anything about Sean Murphy? Because I probably
I know, like, I know, like, nothing about Sean Murphy.
Like, I should have looked it up. But
well,
yeah,
I can look it up to confirm details while you're enlightening me.
Yeah,
what's special about this guy?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I don't actually know either. I just like it seemed he came out of nowhere, but I'm assuming he didn't. But that's what it feels like. Like he just like it's hard to explain.
Well, I was gonna say the thing that really gets me. I see this in Joelle Jones. I see this, Benjamin Dewey, I think. And then I saw it in this book also, is the clothing that people wear can have such an impact on, like, who they are as a character. And Jack Napier wore, like, really amazing suits and ties and jackets, and Harley had, like, all sorts of different really great outfits, and Neo Joker had, like, this cool new outfit, and there was just, like, a lot of design from that point of view of, like, what all of the characters were wearing that added, like, a really great layer to the story. Like, it told you kind of, like, who this person was and where they'd been right before that scene. It added a lot, and that's definitely something that, in my mind, like, I know Joelle Jones for is, like, I mean, partly it's because I know her from, like, some romance comics, but, where, like, wearing a cute dress is part of the story, or, like, the Catwoman thing, like, she designed Catwoman's wedding dress.
Which was a really nice wedding dress.
Like, it's like, it tells you so much about Selena. So, like, that level of detail without making everything, like, overwhelmingly busy. Just a really great balance.
Yeah, the art is like he's really good. And I'm looking him up now. He's done a few things, but nothing, like, super major. Like, this is, like, his first big thing. Like, and apparently, like, like, now it's called his own universe. It's called the Murphyverse. So this version of Batman is uniquely his and will be going into the future.
Interesting. Wow, that a lot. I am seeing that he worked the summer before he made this book. He worked on Tokyo Ghost with the same colorist.
Oh, okay.
So they maybe were able to collaborate a little bit about, like, what the overall look was going to be.
Written by Rick Remender. Oh, okay. So
And then I think I also saw like at least some covers for Chrononauts, which is listed as something he worked on, and then The Wake. So he's networked very well, actually.
Yeah, like to get this
Like
gig.
he knows people. He worked with Jason Aaron. He did Vertigo stuff. He's worked with Grant Morrison. He's worked with Scott Snyder.
He
Like,
did
yeah,
some
he knows.
Hellblazer. He did
You get to write Batman. Either, yeah, you gotta know a guy, and you gotta be like amazingly good at your shit. All right, so Sean Murphy just already knows people who are cooler than us. That's the problem. That's why we weren't familiar with him.
Exactly.
He skipped Amanda Jamil, and he went straight for Grant Morrison.
Well, but yeah, there you go. I think we should wrap it up. I think the last thing we should talk about is the fact that like this ended up being all about Harley in the end. Like this whole story turns.
Yes. And what do you know about my favorite kinds of stories?
What's that, Amanda?
Is stories that are nominally about men, and then women end up coming in the third act and cleaning up.
Exactly.
Women
would be the savior of us all, apparently.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I mean, really, if you're a dude and you're writing a story with women in it, that's the best you can do for me. So.
It was all her plan to begin with. Like this.
She was running everything. It was all her plan. She had everything set up. Yeah.
The pills, the pills, like everything was her. And how do you feel about like pills suppressing the Joker? Didn't that seem a bit convenient? Just a bit.
Honestly, it reminded me of the movie/TV show Limitless, where the guy takes the pills that make him super smart, and then he becomes like a manipulative lawyer, and like in the TV show the guy's like an analyst or something, and they like give him the smart pills so that he can like be smart for a day and help them solve crime. I don't know. This is a much better application of those mystery pills, but I was like, I mean, like, yeah, it was convenient, but I don't know. Like, what else were you going to do? How else were you going to make this story work?
Then I love the fact it's also a steroid, and he take off his shirt, and he's just ripped.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that Harley didn't plan that part at all. I'm sure that was a fully intentional side effect. While we're making my ex-boyfriend super smart, let's also make him buff and badass, and yeah, why stop at not crazy?
Yeah, this is make him completely competent. But yeah, I like how she was just beating the shit out of him. You're like, oh, so the whole time she was Harley Quinn, while he was using like a Tommy gun to murder people, she was actually training to be a capable fighter.
Yeah.
To protect him so he can do all his Tommy gun shooting. That's what it seemed like, right? Like.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you want to discuss about this book?
No, overall, I think it was a really, I think it was a very, not mature, but like nuanced take on Batman that was interesting, and it stands alone really well. And like I said, I think my friend would probably read it. So I think it was a really good pick.
Let one more thing that scared me that I thought this was going to go into the whole thing about Batman being a fascist is that when they go to the black neighborhood with Duke Thomas, and Duke Thomas, like, the only thing we hate more than the cops is Batman. I'm like, why? Like, it's like, oh no, please don't let us fall into it. But they didn't quite go that far. But like, I was like, oh no, they're not going to say Batman just in the ghetto beating up black people, are they? Did you like any other characters? Did you like Batgirl, Nightwing, Bullock, Montoya?
Okay. I will say there was not enough Nightwing butt in this. Just as a criticism, there was like maybe only like one good butt shot. So if that is what you're looking for, this is not the book for that. And I didn't remember that was a thing I could look for until I got to that page. And then I was like, hey, wait a minute. He's been holding out on me. I could have had Nightwing butt this entire comic book. So I'm just going to have to go read something else if I want that.
Always keeping it classy, Amanda.
Yep.
Always keeping it classy. We was doing so good too.
We were doing great.
You had to take it there, huh? Okay, so yeah, I think that's it. I think we've talked about everything that we need.
We've even talked about things that we shouldn't have talked about.
Yes. Fucking Nightwing. But also, it was one more thing. It was really sad that when they got married, that like she couldn't finish it before he turned nuts again.
Yeah.
Like that's a real tragedy right there. Also, Clayface and the whole brain thing. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, it's one of the things you never think about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess there would be a brain inside that massive clay somewhere. Just.
Yeah, that was a little horror.
A little. Shit. Yeah. When are we gonna get Clayface in the movie? I think it's about time, right? Like we get like Clay. Like they've done damn near everybody else, right? They've done Bane twice, the Joker twice. You know, I think it's about time for Clayface and like Harley Quinn to show up in the Batman movie at this point.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, so Amanda.
Yes.
Where can they reach us?
We are on Twitter as Comic Book Club 52, and you can also email us comicbookclub52@gmail.com. And we are also on Facebook as The Comic Book Club. Probably the one at the bottom of the list when you search, but we're going to be moving up.
Still waiting for that cease and desist letter.
Yep. Come back next week for same bat time, same bat channel, same bat jokes.
Yep. And now look, last week I pulled this book out my ass. Like I just looked at my Comicsology because I forgot I had to choose a book. Amanda, please tell me you did better than me and you actually had something prepared for this.
I just barely have something prepared for this.
Okay.
So we are planning to talk about Stan Lee, and I figured that we would want to offset that with something a little bit lighter and a little less serious. And maybe something a little bit more stereotypical, what people imagine when they think of comic books. So I'm going to recommend that we read the Dynamite Chaos reboot. Highway to Hell is the first 6 issues that were written by Tim Seeley.
Uh-huh.
This is a revival of like a 90s imprint of like sexy demon ladies and heavy metal soap opera. So I'm sure there will be plenty of nuance. I don't think there will be any cute boy butts. I think it's all going to be bosoms. But I want to give that a try. Something completely different for us.
Boy butt. Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So, Amanda always keeping it classy. Like, Amanda, you're supposed to be the class of the show. But who knows? Maybe it's like the best comic we ever read for all we know.
You know what? You know what? If you want me to discuss chaos in a classy way, I can pull out all of my $50 SAT words and I can raise the bar. I want to know what you think of it.
Oh, that's fine. And so join us in a couple of weeks. Give everybody a chance to read it, especially our listener in New Zealand who still hasn't written us at all. I know you're there. Write us. Also, we got a couple of listeners in New Jersey. Like, come on, y'all. Write us. We just gave you all our information. Let's get some feedback here, people.
Yeah, or else we're going to make you read crap like Chaos.
Look, Amanda, don't say that. You don't want to run away the few listeners we have, okay? Don't threaten them with that. Anyway, I am Jamil Payne.
I'm Amanda Comey.
And we are out.